Hello and welcome to episode 19 of Starting from Scratch. Today's episode is titled Practicing Challenge Part 1 because what I want to do is I want to go into how exactly I practice. We're going to do Wohlfahrt number 1. I'm still on the first two lines because there's so much in this etude which needs to be mastered that there's no point in going on before I haven't mastered what I have to master in the first two lines. I picked this etude because it specifically targets what's difficult. The difficulty being the first line already, second finger C, third finger D, fourth finger E, and the second finger must hold its position and not slide up towards the fourth finger E. In the second line, we have the difficulty with the first finger F on the E string. That's new for my hand, that has to be practiced. And also the first finger having the position on the B on the A string and on the F on the E string, that has to be taken apart and practiced. Then we have string crossings, which have to be taken apart and practiced. And we have, in a downward scale, the fourth finger having to reach over, not be too flat. So we have the difficulty of the fourth finger as well as a string crossing in one place. So all of these are basic things which my hand has to learn to do, and it will only learn that by practicing. There's no other way. And I want to show in this practicing challenge exactly how I go about practicing. The one thing one has to know about practicing is that one has to specifically target what is difficult. It doesn't help to just hope that the difficult bits come off somehow, sometime, eventually, because that's not going to happen. They will remain difficult. The difficult bits have to be targeted specifically, and when one practices those difficult bits, one has to make them even more difficult so that then one can actually do what is required in the piece. So practicing methods are often about making one's life more difficult. So in the first line, I have two difficulties I need to target. The one is what I just mentioned with the fourth finger E and the second finger holding its position. The other difficulty is a string crossing. All of that must be in tune with a good sound and without my bow hand tensing up senselessly because it's trying to help, or I don't know why my bow hand is tensing up so much, but it's tensing up a lot as soon as I run into something difficult with my string hand. So my goal is these difficulties must not be difficult anymore for my string hand, and that I will only get with specifically targeted practicing. So the first thing that I'm going to do is repetitive practicing. Repetitive practicing is very boring, but I'm going to put you guys through it anyway because it's necessary. With repetitive practicing, you just repeat the same loop over and over and over and over again until your hand gets used to it. You want your string hand to be able to do things automatically so that you can then concentrate on your bow and making a good sound. So for the first line, my loop just combines the two difficulties, the fourth finger E and the string crossing. I'm going to do the loop very slowly first. Always give yourself enough time to find the note to start because you want that to be in tune. Okay, very slowly. That's my loop. This has to be repeated more or less endlessly if I want my fingers to be able to do it automatically. I've put the two difficulties together because they work out quite well as a loop, and it saves a bit of practicing time doing this sort of thing as an endless repetitive loop. Okay, here we go. Now, it's not just a matter of endlessly repeating the loop, but one also has to observe what's going on and give oneself tasks within the loop. Now I'm giving myself the task to relax my bow hand. Same loop, I'm going to do it twice, and my task, besides the notes being in tune, is to relax my bow hand. Okay, I noticed whenever I reminded myself to relax my bow hand, I had to constantly remind myself, it did immediately sound better. So the notes which sounded a little bit better were because my bow hand was relaxed. I'm going to do that again. Relaxed bow hand, in tune, notes. Okay, the weakest note is still the fourth finger E. So now my task is fourth finger E must be in tune, otherwise repeat it. Okay, string crossings are getting better. Fourth finger E is still not so good. So now my task is same loop, but I'm going to do the fourth finger E several times. Okay, this is helping. Actually, if I would be practicing now and wouldn't have a camera in front of me, I would probably spend at least 10 minutes straight just doing that, with breaks, of course, because my hands get tired. But I would want probably 20, 30, 40 loop repeats, because it has to be automated. But I don't want to go down in history for the most boring YouTube video. So I'm not going to do that many repeats, but I'm going to see if the first line now is perhaps a bit better. So I'm just going to play the whole first line. okay, it's definitely getting better, but I do have to work more at that loop. Now the first difficulty that I have in the second line is first finger F on the E string. My first finger has to be in semitone to the open string, which it's having a lot of troubles with. And fairly soon afterwards it has to be in whole tone to the open string on the A string. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this without the bow. I'm just going to pluck it because this really is very difficult. Okay, found my C. I'm just going to play the whole bit that I want to practice, and then I'm going to take it apart. Okay, now the difficulty is the position of the first finger. On the A string we have B, B natural. That's a whole tone. And on the E string we have F. That's a half tone. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to practice that. Because it's a bit of a different position for the first finger. Now I'm going to add one note. That really is the difficulty here, because when the first finger is on the F, it's a bit of a different position than when it's on the B. And my first finger has to learn that. So this, again, is repetitive practicing. One just has to do it over and over again. Ideally, without completely changing my hand position every time, because that's no help. Now I'm going to do it within the scale as it's notated. I'm going to try to speed this up now, and I'm going to do the whole scale, because if my fingers can do it faster than my bow can do it, hopefully it will be a little bit easier when I do this with the bow. Okay, that was too fast. That was too fast. Nothing was working. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in dotted rhythms. Again. Now I'm going to do the dotted rhythms the other way around. Again. And now I'm going to just do it at an even speed again. Okay, it's getting a little bit better. Difficult is as soon as I have my fourth finger on the E string, the first finger doesn't hold its position on the F, but that's going to be taking more time to work at. I can't do that in one practicing session. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with the bow. I'm going to start just by playing the whole bit slowly once, just to show myself what I want to do. Okay, here we go. Okay, all that work that I did pizzicato is definitely helping. It feels much better already. Now I'm going to do something very similar with the bow. I'm just going to repeat that scale loop over and over again. Okay, what I'm really noticing is my bow hand is tensing up. I keep on having to remind my bow hand not to tense up. I need quite a bit of concentration for my bow. And because of that, I don't have as much concentration for my string hand, and it doesn't exactly know where the strings are yet. So this is a lot more difficult than doing it just pizzicato, where I can concentrate completely on the string hand. I need a lot more repetitive practicing to master this. Okay, I need to try to remind myself to relax my bow hand as often as possible and hopefully still hit the notes. It's getting a little bit better, but here again, I would need at least another 20 repetitions of that loop, more if possible. And I'm not going to put you guys through that. Nobody would want that. But I hope you're getting an idea of how one has to practice, how one has to specifically target what one can't do, take it apart, and a lot of repetitive practicing is necessary, particularly as a beginner. I would like to invite anybody who feels like it to join me in this practicing challenge with Wohlfahrt number 1. So if you're at a level where Wohlfahrt number 1 is not easy for you, then check this out and join me with the practicing methods. Let me know how you get on in the comments, because this Wohlfahrt etude has so many basic things in it which have to be mastered that it's a perfect opportunity to learn how to practice and at the same time master some basic difficulties. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope it wasn't too boring with all this repetitive practicing, but there's no other way around it. Okay, good luck to everybody and happy practicing.